Happy Halloween out there to everybody in Twitch land. Hi, everybody. You know what it is. It's the Halloween season. Let me dab on you real quick. Dab. There we go. Yes.
Wow. I didn't know that we were going to connect with the kids so strongly this week.
Oh, let me hit the whoa and then dab. Did I do it right? Whoa,
trying to get the youths into it.
Hello, fellow children.
It's hello, fellow kids, I believe.
So this episode is going to be a little bit more different because of the fact that the veil is so thin and we've crossed over to the other side. And because of that, we have, I've taken possession of this whole entire endeavor of all of Table Talks, and now I'm in control. That's right.
Because you are our resident spooker.
I am the resident spook queen. I'm coming at you from the UCSS Nostromo. It's I, Ripley, taking a break from fighting parasites and chest bursters for another episode of TableTakes. Hi, y'all. How y'all feeling?
Hey there.
Hello.
I'm happy to find out that Ripley's huge hobby when she wasn't hunting down aliens was playing board games.
Yes, it's true. You have to do something in space. Speaking of hunting down aliens, Derek, how you been? How was your week?
It's been pretty good. My new iPhone arrived, so that's exciting. We're back to the classic, flat edges, which is nice. And I'm excited that we're gonna play Alien tonight. We got it all set up in Roll20, so I'm pretty jazzed about. So the last time we ran like Cherry to the Gods. We have the YouTube link, we should probably dig up somewhere. If people want to watch the episode, that had the amazing moment where we all got so scared because it was dark in the studio and the gel in front of one of the lights fell off and we had no idea what it was. And we just were crashing in the darkness and we all got scared.
Oh, that was great.
But that scenario was very Alien. So we're going to play Destroyer of Worlds, which is the second cinematic scenario they put out, and that's very Aliens. So I'm very curious how everyone's going to do with their Marines and how they're going to survive.
Very excited. And what is your Halloween costume for today?
It is this. So this is the Lederhosen hat we got because my wife is German. So we got these fancy little hats and we started collecting all the pins that you're supposed to get and travel around. So we wore this all around Leavenworth for our wedding.
Aww.
So
that's super fun.
A romantic tourist, I see, is the look.
Who's definitely not a traitor.
Great. Speaking of fantastic Halloween costumes, let's talk to these poor unfortunate souls. Yes, I say with the full body paint doing the most on this Friday. We love to see it. I say, what have you been up to?
Hello, yes. Basically, I've been getting into the Halloween spirit. October is, of course, my favorite month, and Halloween my favorite holiday. I just actually won the Halloween special for Food Beast, which is like a kitchen or a cooking competition. So I just got that. I got the Halloween belt under my hand. And also for gaming related news, I just pre-ordered myself Dune Imperium. Can you guys guess what sleeves I ordered? Can you guess which sleeves?
No,
Cats?
I can't.
No, it's the sandworms. Sandworms, man. All about the sandworms.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes. But no, I'm at least I'm not blue today. I'm very purple. By the way, Ursula's based off of a drag icon. And so if you guys ever look at the history,
yes,
Ursula wasn't actually a bad person. She just wanted to, change. She made a contract. She wanted to, offer Ariel a way to change her appearance. And
she made the rules very clear. All the rules were lined out. She knew everything that was going. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Justice for Ursula.
Justice for Ursula.
That's a good point.
Yes.
I'm told.
Emma, how have you been this week? And I love your Emma costume. It's really accurate.
I worked really hard on it. Yeah, the hair, getting the hair, the pink just right is
You've
tough.
been working on it your entire life for this moment.
It's really good.
It's definitely, I always liked Halloween as a holiday, and I definitely used to get into costumes and stuff. I think over the last few years, especially this year, I felt a little more just like overwhelmed by the whole thing. So I was just like, I did do a sushi cosplay early this month, so I got into a little bit, but I need to to be reinvigorated with the Halloween spirit. So hopefully today's episode will help with that.
You have 48 hours because tomorrow is
48 hours to figure something out. Yes.
Yeah.
I will work on that. Maybe
Make yourself into an artichoke. There you go. Boom.
I don't even have my artichoke pants on. I need to just break out my artichoke pants, all my food themed clothing. But this week, one fun thing did happen is on Ludology, I got to interview the creators of the game Dialect, and it sounded so great when they talked about it that I went ahead and ordered it because it sounds like a super fun game. So I'm looking forward to hopefully playing that. There's a way to play it online, so hopefully be able to dig into that with some people because I had heard about it. I think we even talked about it on the show maybe at one point, and it seemed really cool. But now I'm like, okay, this creating words, making up words, very much in my wheelhouse. So I'm excited about that.
Are they the folks behind Xenolanguage that just launched on Kickstarter?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you should probably go check that out too, because I have a feeling it might be up the same kind of alley.
Yeah. And we'll definitely be talking about that because it's another cool word game when our Kickstarters come up.
Thank you, Emma. I think this costume is great. I can't wait to see what you come up with overnight for your costume tomorrow. I will hold this to you and I will tweet you repeatedly what your costume is. Well, this is great because we're getting into the Halloween spirit. So hopefully by the end of today, after our Alien stream, of which unfortunately I will not be able to join for, I'm so sorry. But Derek will be there, Bonsai will be there for after we're done with this. So please stay tuned for that Alien stream so you can watch everybody get eaten by a face hugger or get a chest burster inside. No, you guys will all survive. No. Moving right along to our headlines, we have more Dune news. I feel like we should just make a segment that's just Dune news because this is really all I want to talk about. For everybody who is waiting to see the Dune movie, just hold on because we might not be getting that movie until 2045 or 2050. The movie's already been delayed, but if you're waiting for the movie to come out, you can hurry up and set in your pre-orders for Dune Imperium, which has started up that the Dune, it looks like the whole thing is taken directly from like the movie. So it looks like it's like the characters look like the characters in the movie, which I'm looking at a lot because of the fact that like some of the characters that they have that are in the game have not been released in the movie. And I'm trying to figure out what actor is going to play this character in the movie. And I might just buy this just so that I can try to figure out what's happening in the movie. But also just because of the fact that I want a tiny little Timothée Chalamet card that I can put in my pocket.
See, now I want you to buy the game, play the game, and then tell people, well, this is what happens in the movie, and just assume that's the actual plot of the movie.
Yes. Well, when the worms eventually take over and then everybody gets a worm baby that they can then put in their pocket and then the worms become the emperor.
That's definitely how it works.
That's how it works. I read the books. So if you pre-order now, you get a special promo Jessica of Arrakis card, which looks really cool. You get an upgrade pack also for $55, including 65 minis. And you can watch a run through of how it's played, which I watched. And I was like, you know what? Actually, I would rather just play this game than watch other people play. I just want it now. So that's happening. Pre-order that Dune Imperium. Derek, are you excited for this?
I am. I've already pre-ordered it through our local store. Sounds like Bonsai's already pre-ordered it too. So, maybe we can all sit down and play it somehow, someday.
Let's do that, please.
We'll all set it up. All of us own a set, and then we all set it up and be like, all right, good luck, everybody.
That's how my wife and I used to play Pandemic when she was in Ireland. Is we would just set up a webcam in the living room, and one of the boards would be like the quote-unquote real board. And then the other player would just find the cards they needed. So there are some board games that actually work really well that way.
I think we should do this. Like, genuinely, I think that we should all I'll pre-order it and I'll write it up, a tax write-off.
Yeah. If we stream it, then it's a tax write-off, right?
Business expense, exactly.
That's true. Speaking of playing games together as people in these times, Bonsai, do you want to talk about this new tabletop game company that's coming out?
Yes, quick news, everybody. Former Blizzard heads are breaking away from their Blizzard video game industry, basically to jump in the tabletop gaming industry. So for more information, basically Chris Menzin, former Blizzard senior VP, and Mike Guild Martin, Blizzard's VP of Quality Insurance, along with Ryan Collins, one of the Hearthstone game designers, are basically making their own tabletop gaming company called Warchief Gaming. And so basically this is they want to go ahead and escape the burnout from playing, designing video games. And they seem to use this as a way to recharge their creative juices, jump into the process. They're really excited about working with all these various different properties they've been cooking up in their mind. It pretty much just grew out of a members only gaming club that they had in their own little community space. And they're like, you know what, we like these games that we're designing for ourselves. So let's just take a leap and do it ourselves. I want to see, so there's not really much any games announcements of what they're making. This is just, hey, we got a gaming company. Just the big takeaway from this is that Chris Menzin is the big name here that is behind the story development of Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo, and Overwatch. So those are big four big main gaming brands, and just being able to tell those stories means that we're probably looking into games with very quality story engines and such. So just more excitement to see. So keep an eye on it. Warchief Gaming announced.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. Their gaming club seems to have kind of a different format than a lot of clubs in the US. From what I understand, because this is like a Warhammer kind of thing that pops up a lot, is that I guess in England, a lot of folks don't have space in their home for a big board and a terrain and stuff like that. It happens in the US too, but I guess it's it's much more common there. So it's more commonly accepted to have a gaming club that has dues and rents a location, and you can only play there if you're a member and stuff like that. So that was apparently the model that they set up. I'm presuming in California, in Southern California where Blizzard is located. And that's what it kind of grew from. And they just wanted a space to play with their friends. So they went out and got some space, and then it kind of snowballed from there. And they're like, well, what if we made it a real business and published things?
Yeah.
So it'll be real interesting to see what they decide to do with that.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think we could use more of that kind of stuff, that kind of community-led membership kind of a things where you can get together, rent a space, and then play games like that. That's actually a really cool idea, especially because a lot of comic book spaces now are have taken a hit. So maybe we, to implement that kind of stuff. That's a really cool idea.
Once we're allowed to be physically near each other again.
Yes, that's true. It'll happen again. 2045 is my prediction. Moving on to small exclusive companies that are now moving into selling more things for other people to buy. Derek, do you want to give us our next news?
Sure. So some of you out there may have heard of a small group of friends who play D&D online called Critical Role. If you haven't, they're fairly popular. But the new kind of aspect that they're getting into now is, in addition to streaming online, in addition to the nonprofit that they have announced and started working on, they're now going to publish their own games, or at least be a publishing house for other people's games. They've announced, I think, 4 games so far, some details for 4 games. They've only really given details for one of them, which is called Otoa, I suppose. There's, I suspect a lot of people out there have seen this. This is, I guess, the former patron of a warlock in the Critical Role campaign So like this is some like sea monster Leviathan thing, and you play sailors who are trying to fight against it as you kind of go through this adventure. And apparently it started out as a different game and then got redeveloped and reskinned over many years into what they're putting out now. So that's their first game that's coming out in early 2021. We'll see. Considering how everything has been going all around the industry, I wouldn't hold these dates to be too set in stone. But that's the first one they've given a lot of details about. The other ones that they've also talked about are Critical Role Adventures, which they've described as a cooperative legacy light campaign game, probably vaguely dungeon crawly or something like that, where you play Critical Role characters. There's Syndicult, which is a game designed, an RPG designed by Matt Mercer, that is a basically mob plus mafia, or I'm sorry, like mafia plus magic. So we're going to see what happens with urban fantasy there. And then they have Guardians of Matrimonia, where it appears to be a cooperative monster slaying card game where I suspect you are protecting a party, or like a wedding maybe, from monsters who try to crash it or something like that. It's a little
I
bit
thought
vague.
it was a
I
game where you
assume-
try to seduce the monsters. I was like, monsters and
I assume there's a
matrimony,
dating
seduce the
element to it.
monsters.
I would buy that game, yeah.
Dreading crashers? That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Well, I think that this is a really interesting opportunity for them to hopefully reach out to a different group than the normal kind of group that they work with in Critical Role, and hopefully expand who they pull in. This will be an amazing platform for more marginalized communities to be able to have, to be able to get into publishing, to be able to get their games noticed. And this would be an incredible platform for them. So I really hope that Critical Role takes this as an opportunity to diversify and expand the TTRPG world. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean since they're not a traditional publishing house, since they don't have the history of that, like this is different than say if WotC were to attempt to make this move, for example. There's certain momentum or inertia or baggage from that. So Critical Role, starting from a completely different perspective, has, I think, an opportunity to figure out a different way to monetize and finance and publish a lot of these games. So here's hoping that they experiment heavily with both format and publishing, but also who they're partnering with to try to get some exposure out there and get a number of the other incredibly talented folks up to their level.
Yeah. Well, moving right along from that, we've got some dissenting into darkness and going into the dark. Emma, it was a smooth transition, y'all. Emma, what is our next yes. What's our next news?
Descent Legends of the Dark, the follow-up to the super popular Descent Journeys in the Dark, has been announced from Fantasy Flight Games. So it's supposed to be released next year, board game with a companion app and 3D terrain to the tune of $175. So they're definitely going high-end, high quality with this product. In case you haven't heard of Descent Journeys in the Dark, it's been around for a while, but it's a dungeon crawl game. Interestingly, the original Descent Journeys in the Dark, because they have a second edition now, was apparently a re-implementation of the 2004 Doom board game. The interesting things that you can find out if you dig through the BGG re-implementation tags. So this game is going to be 1 to 4 players, driven by a companion app like Mansions of Madness 2E and Lord of the Rings Journeys in the Middle Earth. It does sound like the app is going to be a core part of it. So if you're going to be playing the full game, you will have to have the app in there. It seems to me a little bit like they're trying to get in on the Gloomhaven territory, because you have the dungeons, you have upgradable weapons, you can go and purchase things in the stores between times. But with having the app and some simplifications to the gameplay, maybe being like a Gloomhaven light-ish. Because I think, obviously Gloomhaven is very popular, but there is a lot of overhead for somebody running the game, setting up, knowing how all the monsters work. So it'd be interesting to see how they make this dungeon crawly sort of a game with this IP and make it something that's maybe a little bit easier for people to dive into. It's going to be 40 miniatures and 46 terrain pieces. The terrain is actually kind of a cool part, and I think would justify that higher price tag, because if you look at it, you really do get the feel of being in a dungeon, and with things being customizable, you can get some interesting gameplay scenarios. Unfortunately, it's not compatible with previous Descent editions. If you were looking for that, already starting to see a little bit of rumbling on BGG from the trolls about, oh, you're ruining everything. I kind of wish you had to have the game or have played it to review on BGG, because there's already people react to news about board games by going onto BGG and like rating it 1 and being like, you ruined my entire life. But this looks like a pretty cool entry into the Descent legacy / IP, so it'd be cool to see how that comes out.
Yeah, with a price tag like that, it seems like it might be one of those where your gaming group decides to split the cost or something like that if you're going to play it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I did look at that price tag and was like, all right, am I getting like a hug after this? It felt very, very high. Moving on to hugs. No, that was terrible. Moving on to getting a hug with a foot. That's right, ninja style. A hug. You know, that's what ninjas do. They hug.
Do you know what hugs are? Do we?
I have no idea.
Have you been in quarantine so long you forgot?
It's been a really long year. It's been a really long year. The new Naruto game was announced. Ninja Arena is coming out. This game was already released from the people who brought you the Cowboy Bebop Serenade game, Don't Panic. And it was already released in Europe, and it looks like it's having its US release here. If you are a big fan of putting shurikens on your friends and throwing stars at your friends and hugging your friends with your foot, which is how a hug works apparently in 2020, then this is the game for you.
Social distance.
Social distance hug. I mean, just kicking your friend in the face is apparently how that works.
Yes.
You and your opponents take on all the characters in the Naruto universe, and you can battle it out in real time to figure out who is the best ninja of all of your friends. This game is for 2 to 4 players, and it looks like it's expected to be released in the first quarter of 2021. So look out for that, which you can't because they're ninjas, so you can't look out for them because they're invisible to see, which is the opposite of this next piece of news, which you can see because it's being released on your phone, which Derek just bought a new one for, which was a seamless transition. Derek, take it away.
Yes, I definitely bought a new phone for the express purpose of using the new Roll20 character app.
Yeah. Cheesy ad.
Yeah. Announced during Roll20 Con, Roll20 is going to, I think they just launched an invite-only beta to take the character sheets, the kind of character management that they use in the Roll20 website, and put that on your phone. And they're launching first with D&D 5th edition. They haven't really announced what else they're going to do, but they said they're starting with D&D 5th. So, you know, as somebody who loves many, many RPGs, I'm going to cross my fingers that they extend it beyond, well beyond that. But that's where they're starting. And I think the really interesting thing about it is it will still integrate with the virtual tabletop. So if you are sitting at the table or playing online or whatever, and you have the Roll20 instance up in front of you, you'll be able to have your character sheet on your phone, not taking up the real estate on the screen. So you won't have to kind of hide or show your character sheet, you know, and have it kind of superimposed on the map or whatever, depending on how you have your screen set up. You can just have it on your phone, and when you tap to roll in the app, it will still roll into the Roll20 instance you're in. Your dice rolls will show up in chat and all that kind of stuff. So they have just started rolling that out. If you are particularly interested, I think it's maybe limited to pro users. But if you go to their website, go to their forums and get details, you can try to get on the list to sign up and check it out.
Awesome. I don't know why I already thought that they had this before. I don't know why this is like I feel deja vu that this has already happened.
They have like you can access a lot of the Roll20 elements from mobile, but it's not super optimized for it. And I don't think it's an app. I think you just go to the website, and the website is technically supported. This is going to be a different approach that's specific app and is tailored to a specific game in that app. So it'll be I suspect it'll be a very different experience than the Roll20 interface is currently.
Cool.
Well, if you're trying to play new games and you brought a brand new iPhone just to house one app, not making any phone calls, not connecting with anybody, just about the one app, then maybe you'll be able to use it for this next bit of news, of which Bonsai is going to present us with, which I know Bonsai was very excited for because it involves dragons.
Yes. Okay. Dragons are invading Unearthed Arcana, folks. So, with Tasha's coming out, World of WotC is back working new playsets. So basically, what they're throwing out are these two new subclasses. One is the Way of the Ascendant Dragon, which is a new monk subclass that emulates the power of dragons, very similar to something called Dragonborn, but cooler. So you add elemental damage to attacks, emulate breath weapons, and grow wings, etc. So instead of how Dragonborn you had to choose as soon as you made the character, you get either you have to do a straight line cone or wider dragon breath, right? And you only could do it once a day. Well, these monks get to essentially switch into intermediately, and it's a fighting style, so they could just fire all the time. All right. So it's truly it might honestly just be them testing out ways to improve Dragonborns before. That's just my theory. Don't tilt your head at me, Derek. Conspiracy. They're just trying to test these things out. They say monks, but they're actually just going to update Dragonborns.
Bonsai, we just officially need a conspiracy corner for you.
We're
Player's Handbook 2 confirmed.
They already had to take Player's Handbook 2. They just don't call it that.
You have a tinfoil hat.
Oh my gosh.
Another one subclasses is the Drake Warden, which is a new ranger subclass where you get a little Drake companion. It's a little baby dragon. It strains the bond of basically with draconic animals. You get a small little Drake that you can summon to fight and help your basically help you fight enemies, and then imbues your allies also with extra powers and elemental damages. And hey, but I mean it's small until you get to level 15, and then you get a honking big boy that you can ride. All right, so that's
Bonsai,
more important.
You're giving Emma the vapors here. We're discussing this dragon.
It's a little baby dragon, and then you get a chunky dragon.
Emma, have you ever read Dragon Riders of Pern?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know, but reading through this class, I was like, yep, I love those books too.
Yeah.
I'm all in for it.
But yeah, so I mean, this sounds like the best subclass. You're a ranger, you get a little baby dragon, and then your baby dragon gets chunkier and chunkier and chunkier until you can ride it.
And there can be a whole story arc to that, and you're forming this bond, and you have just this love bond that's so strong that neither of you can live without the other.
You've definitely read Dragon Riders of Pern. that is proof right there.
I feel like you can always tell who was a Dragon Riders kid when they grow up. I'm getting those vibes.
I mean, come on, who didn't want that? It's just you have your love bond, and it's interesting because all their human relationships are basic. I guess spoilers for 20. All their human relationships be open relationships, right? Well, we can hang out for a little bit, but dragon's where it's at. Okay, this is the love of my life, and I'm gonna maybe.
Dragon Riders of Pern was 100% the original fantasy soap opera.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Moving on to fantasy soap operas. This news I am so excited about. Hasbro, on their latest earnings call, has released some information about a Dungeons and Dragons television show. which is so great. I am so excited about this. The entire time that we were talking, I was like, everybody get through what you're talking about so that we can talk about this. This will hopefully replace the gigantic, massive Game of Thrones hole that was left in my heart from years ago. And with everything going on, there's no information about whether or not it's going to be on Disney Plus, Hulu, or Netflix, but I think you can hold on to your butts and know this TV show is going to be massive, okay? Just think of the possibilities, you guys. About the idea with all the success of Game of Thrones, all of the success of The Witcher, I think it's going to be like in one of those. You can, right now, I know what you're saying in chat, and that is, no, it's not going to be anything like the Dungeons and Dragons classic movie that we all love and that we all watch every single year. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. I think it's going to be really based in the lore, and it's going to have a lot of information informed, probably by real fans. I'm not even going to read the chat. I could see you guys.
They're actually pretty good. It's always sunny and Waterdeep. I like that.
I'm just saying, Isabella, do you want tears? Because this is how you get tears, is by committing that this is going to be the most amazing thing ever. Like, they're at the stage of like, people are interested. Like,
yes.
There's no deal. There's no plans. We don't know who's
It's
involved.
happening, Derek. We're getting a Dungeons and Dragons television show. We're going to get it. We're going to get that. We're going to get the movie.
Animated or...
Live action.
Live action.
They specifically talked about live action. So actually, like,
live action.
That's the curious thing.
Okay.
Like, so we know that nothing has been decided. There's like nothing is set for this. This is just a people are interested. It would be successful. So if each of us could make our own live action Dungeons and Dragons show, what will we do?
Drows.
Well, but what would you do with them?
Well, nobody tells the story of like a legitimate, like good, like, you know, good drow, like just the dynamics because they've been kicked aside, or like, I want the underbelly. I want stories of trolls. I want stories of goblins. I want the ones and all the races in there that have been trotted, downgraded, and just basically humanize them. And then like, get it, like, be like, yo, this is how we really live like, and you guys are all these adventurers coming in, killing our people. We had enough of it.
Yeah.
So just saying, that's my
So you want the
take.
Star Trek below decks of D&D.
Yes. I want the downtown Abbey under the Abbey. What is it? Didn't they have that thing?
Our favorite spin-off show, Downtown Abbey Under the Abbey. Yep. A classic show. I just want more orc daddies. I want an orc daddy called Jort McOrc. I just want what I didn't get in the Witcher TV show, which was more shirtless. Oh my goodness, his name left me. His name is not Geralt.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. He's not nearly as shirtless in that show as I was led to believe. And I feel like I was cheated, and I would like to replicate. I would like to redo that in this new opportunity that they have to have shirtless adventurers, namely just Henry Cavill. And so that's what I want. I want an orc, and his name is Jort McOrc. And I want shirtless Henry Cavill. And yeah, just yes,
hot
I want more
fantasy creatures like in the Warcraft movie.
Is it so you're gonna cast your vote in there too, Emma?
No, I want happy, feel-good action. I basically want live action Steven Universe meets the D&D universe, and I don't know what that's gonna look like, but that's what I want. I want warmth and hugs and feelings, and they talk to the creatures instead of just fighting everybody that they come across, and yeah, that's my vision.
So I have to say that seems to be a much more reasonable vision than either Downtown Abbey Under the Abbey, or Henry Cavill is only allowed to wear jorts and we paint him green. I feel that like you're definitely the front runner there.
I'm underdog store, man. It's all underdog store.
And Derek, what are your desires out
What
of
is
a
your
D&D
grim
show?
dark vision?
Like, D&D ain't no grimdark. We know that.
Mm.
I mean, like, I would love a Dark Sun or Planescape, but I know that's never going to happen. So, like,
Dream? You can
Dream it. Dream it.
Yeah,
It's
Dream's
still
a
ain't gonna
desert
happen.
of no
Dreams,
magic.
Derek.
so I'm the grimdark guy, so I don't
Yeah.
have dreams. I only have disappointments.
I thought you were gonna say nightmares. That's
No, like, I know a lot of people who really, really want to return to that classic cartoon where, you know, normal people get sucked into a world and blah blah blah. And all I have to say, I think, really is, like, I absolutely do not want that. Like, I want no connection in this D&D this series between the real world and the D&D world. Like, no crossover, no, like, characters from reality, no hint of, like, oh, maybe this is our past, maybe it's like just
yeah.
let it be its thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I completely agree that it should be not like this sort of thing of like a kid finds a book in a library and it transports him over into this world, which
Wait,
is
the Page Master?
the Page
No,
Master.
I think you mean the
rocks.
never-ending story.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say like the new Monster Hunter movie, but yes, you're all right about
so it's
that.
been done, is what you're saying.
And it's lame. It's whack. I totally agree with Derek. I think that it should be in the land. I think it's sort of heightened. What I imagine is a sort of family-friendly version of Game of Thrones, if that's at all possible.
Probably more magical.
Yeah.
More magical, much more. It's still dragons, but more magical, less incest is what I'm
So
imagining.
I think what we're saying is
I'm
take Game of
behind that.
Thrones, take Harry Potter, take
Mhm.
away the problematic problems with both of those,
Yeah.
and then, like, have some fun fantasy adventure with magic, and it'll be good enough.
I
Sounds great.
absolutely agree. I think
Yeah.
I honestly think that, like, with Netflix and Hulu and everything like that, they've been searching for the past year for another huge property that they can take over. They want something like another Harry Potter that they can extend out for like another decade or so. This to me makes the most sense. It makes the most sense to have a D&D shared universe, and then maybe you take different kinds of stories from D&D. This to me, you could have D&D television content for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's always been my question, is, like, you know, people will say we should have a World of Darkness TV show, or we should have a D&D TV show. You know, there are lots of worlds out there that I think are incredibly interesting to explore. But I do think that there's another hurdle that you have to overcome when you're making a TV show, that I think TV shows in particular live and die on their plots and their characters. And that's where I think that there's a lot of people who are really deeply connected to D&D. They're deeply connected to their characters. They're deeply connected to the world, but D&D doesn't have as many, like, classic stories, or, depending on how you look at it, classic characters. So, like, I'm really curious about, can they do a TV show, or should they do a TV show that doesn't use the classic Forgotten Realms characters like Drizzt and stuff like that? You know, like, is that where they have to go? And if they don't, like, how much value is the IP bringing? Like, those are really interesting questions to me.
Yeah. But I think it offers up more possibilities for different kinds of storytellers and different kinds of stories. I mean, I don't know. I see what they're doing with, like, The Mandalorian, which is something that I thought there was just no way. There's nothing. What more story can you possibly tell from these sorts of things? And they've expanded that out into really interesting, to where, like, the Mandalorian to me is probably one of the best Star Wars anythings. So I'm very interested to this. Take my money. I'll, if we have to Kickstarter, if we have to advocate hashtag JortMcOrk.
JortMcOrk.
Now I will do it. Well, that was great. I'm very excited. I can't wait for our watch party of the new D&D TV show. Moving right along to the boss. Every single game that you play has one main big boss, and our big boss is Derek coming in with the bundles. Derek, you have a minute and a half to talk about all of these bundles. And
fantastic. So Dungeon Crawl Classics. There's a big Dungeon Crawl Classics bundle on Humble Bundle. It's $408 worth of Dungeon Crawl Classic stuff. The kind of flippant way to summarize Dungeon Crawl Classics is if you like old school D&D and or you own a D30 and you always wanted some dumb excuse to roll to the table, Dungeon Crawl Classics has you covered. So the $8 tier has the core rules, and through all the different tiers, there's almost like 40 different adventures. So if you just kind of want that old school dungeon crawl, roll up a character, see if they even live long enough to get to become a first level fighter, and you want to roll your D30 or whatever other weird die sizes you might have tucked away somewhere, Dungeon Crawl Classics is there for you, and the bundle supports the American Red Cross. The next bundle that I am personally very excited about is Cult Divinity Lost. This is the new edition of Cult. It's all of the stuff that's currently published for it. And I have talked about this before. Cult is kind of like a cosmic horror, like very horror, very boundary pushing kind of RPG. If you like the Cthulhu mythos and you like the supernatural cosmic element of that, but you want something that is much meaner to humanity, Cult's basic premise is that all of reality that we know, time, society, language, sanity, family, all those things are components of a prison that has been constructed to keep humanity from its own true divinity, and we might have deserved it, is kind of the interesting twist of the game. But the demiurge who built the prison disappeared, and the prison has started falling apart, and all of those creatures throughout time and space that we abused forever long ago are now kind of getting their chance to mess with humanity. So like that's the high concept. The very narrow one is you play horror games. You might just be a haunted house. You might have no idea what's going on, but either way it's going to be weird and scary, and you live in a prison constructed of your own mind, basically. So the bundle, there's an $18 kind of starting collection. That's got the core rules, a screen, some reference cards. It's got all the basics. The bonus has some interesting stuff with the Black Madonna campaign, which like covers like World War II and communist Russia and a lot of really dark stuff trying to relate to that across generations. It also has Taroticum, which is a collection of a couple different adventures, one of which keys off of a fancy tarot deck that they will offer. You get the PDF version of it, but like this is a tarot deck in a vague sense in that it looks like a tarot deck, but it doesn't have quite the same cards. So you have much creepier kind of stuff going on in here, and it pulls very, very heavily from Kabbalism, Jewish mysticism. That's where a lot of cults trappings come from. So the tarot deck is very cool. If you like cosmic horror, if you want a different spin on it, and you don't mind, definitely needing to have that lines and veils conversation with your group about what you're going to engage with, I really, really recommend Cult. This new edition borrows very heavily from Power by the Apocalypse, but takes it in a different direction than I think traditional gamers might be a little more comfortable with. So I highly recommend it. And it supports The Good Fight, which is the chair. I'm sorry, it's Vision Rescue is the particular charity that they're supporting. And then the last bundle is on itch.io or itch.io, depending on how hip you are with the kids, I guess. Unclear. I know. So this is a bundle. Yeah, it's not my fault. Not my fault. This is a $10 bundle. It has a number of games in here. It's got just under 4 days left. There's Black Mass, a game about seeking and finding in the woods of Salem. So probably very witchy. There's Arcana Academy, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse Magical Academy game. There's Mitchum, which, Emma, you need to go look at the cover of because it's adorable hamster creatures rescuing their forest.
That's really great. I like that.
Our Queen Crumbles is included in there. That was one of the games that we covered back in Zine Quest. You're basically, your queen is cursed. You have failed to rescue your queen, and you're kind of collaboratively storytelling her demise and disillusion. There's Tenra Bansho Zero, which makes me feel like Chris is here with us, because it's basically riffs from Japan. It's got cyborgs and monsters and dragons and demons and giant guns, and it is a weird gonzo game. And then finally, probably the one that will be the most attraction to folks is Fate of Cthulhu, which is a Fate version of Cthulhu. And the premise is Terminator, basically, where you are sent back in time to avert a horrible Cthulhu apocalypse in the future. And so they took an interesting spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And those are your bundles for the week.
Thank you so much. I believe that the bundle boss has not been defeated and now has transformed into an even greater mythic foe. That's right, the Kickstarter queen. Lay low. We are all tiny and small in front of our Kickstarter queen. Please spare us, please.
Well, since I am too powerful and too almighty, first you must defeat my minion, Emma.
First up on our list of Kickstarters today, we have RPG Condition Rings. Easily track spell and ability conditions with 4 days left, ending Tuesday, November 3rd. Before, I think you could be more or less excited. When I first read this headline, I literally thought of them as rings you would put on your finger to remind yourself that you are wearing these rings, and you have to remember that you have a condition, and that's pretty cool. These are also cool, maybe not quite as cool in my mind, but probably more useful and functional in the long run. So you get a deluxe box set of 96 condition rings to track 24 different Dungeons and Dragons conditions. You can upgrade your role-playing experience. And this is definitely one of the things in role-playing games that I think can be very frustrating. It's like, who's going to remember that, right? Like, you got knocked over or paralyzed or whatever, you have to write a note. Even if you write, it's impossible to remember that. And 6 turns later, you're like, oh wait, didn't something happen? I was supposed to be doing this thing. So I think it is great to have something to track that if you really want to get into the heavy mechanical side and play the game correctly, which is definitely a way that many people play D&D. So if you're interested in that, 4 days left, check it out.
Mm-hmm. Another game that has 4 days left for Tuesday, November 3rd, Worlds Without Numbers. It's a sandbox fantasy role-playing game packed with like one of the most important things is like a really good world building tools to help the GM, and it's compatible with Stars Without Numbers. So basically, if you guys are big old fan of Stars Without Numbers, you'll love Worlds Without Numbers because it's Stars Without Numbers, but in fantasy instead. It just has a really great world building kit. It's kind of similar if you really are into old school revival games that aren't necessarily like straight up like copies of another game. You know what I mean? But it is just its straight own like how you like a little bit of the crunchy system and the pathways it goes to. So if you are into those kind of OSR RPGs and you want that like really nice fantasy and very like, you can go anywhere kind of thing with your GM because it has a very, very beautiful and really good world building system, then Worlds Without Numbers is for you. And that's 4 days left, Tuesday, November 3rd.
Yeah, I'll definitely chime in that Stars Without Number is a very, very well respected like sci-fi OSR implementation. So I think a lot of people are really excited to see that same team, that same aesthetic being brought to fantasy.
Yep.
So then with 5 days left, we have a project that you may have seen popping around on Twitter a whole lot. This is Flames of Freedom. It is a supernatural in the shadows kind of occult horror game powered by the Zweihander RPG that gained a lot of prominence, won a lot of awards past couple of years. It's like a percentile die system. So you're playing supernatural hunters or investigators against the backdrop of the American Revolution. And I think the thing that brought it to most of our attention, or that we feels most notable, is that the game is being very explicit with a progressive stance on how you should play and what should be included. It's very explicit that it's not intending to just be an excuse to replicate the prejudices or bigotry of the time. And they assembled a very diverse team, and most notably, they have a very long list of different cultural consultants to try to make sure that they got perspectives from the different groups that might be involved in that era. So that has 5 days left. It's being published from Andrews McMeel, another large publisher, a traditional book publisher coming in. So it's kind of the intersection of a lot of interesting elements, and it's set in a time period that isn't very often explored by tabletop gaming. So if you are a U.S. history buff at all, if you like that era and you want a cult game to go run in the shadows as America is being born, then you should check it out.
I really like the art of this, and I really like the game design, and I was so concerned. This is my one thing that I was very concerned. I was like, oh, cool, 1770, what now? That was a real spicy year for a lot of America. But it looks like they're doing a lot to be really mindful of that, so I'm very excited about this game.
Yeah, it should have some very, very interesting perspectives and takes on things. Even if you're not playing in that era, I suspect it will be worthwhile reading. And I forgot to mention, they unlocked a canvas map. So it now receives the official Derek seal of approval for including a cloth map.
Emma, moving right along, you've got some Foxy news, some Foxy Kickstarters.
All right, friends. I saw that. I liked it. It was good. Okay. Buckle on your cute pants, because we're going to go on a journey of cute proportions. The next couple are just going to make you squee in delight. First up, we have Fox Matters with 5 days left, ending Wednesday, November 4th. A cooperative real-time board game where you can chain up cards to drive off nightmares from the Fox Kingdom. Seriously, go here, look at the pictures, or the picture that we have on the stream right now, because just adorable. The thing that doesn't show is up close, these minis that you have as your characters that you can use to help buff up your powers are adorable. The art in the cards is amazing. This is another game out of Portland. This is another game out of Poland, which we recently mentioned on the show, has only just been opened up to Kickstarters. So it's really cool to see the, I'd say, range of games that are coming out of there right now. Stuff all over the cuteness spectrum. This one, probably the most adorable one we've seen so far. Also seems like there's some interesting cooperative mechanics in there to solve cooperative challenges. To make it be just making a cooperative game new and fresh and interesting is always a design challenge. So it seems like they have some symbol chaining, exactly how you play the cards in order to work and get off your combos. And if you mess up the combo because you're doing it in real time, then your action doesn't happen. So it sounds like there's a fun spin on the cooperative genre. Next, we have Zargoth's Tome of Familiars for 5e with 6 days left, ending Thursday, November 5th. A 5th edition compendium of over 200 new familiars, pets, monsters, and more. I just look at this picture. It is adorable and great. I'm excited because you can see from the picture, you have the option for your familiar to be 5 snails. So that's just what I want. My familiar is just 5 snails in a little...
In a trench coat? Just like...
I'm still
that just follow me around, or maybe like cloning snails. It just becomes an infinite number of snails. Like I'm Ant-Man, but snail woman for snails. And they're
it's
just
so
like,
messy.
Yeah, they just like, there's slime everywhere. And
there is a weird rabbit hole you were going down here.
This is so slimy. Everything's so sticky.
Maybe my character flaw is that I have to just deal with the snail slime all around me all the time, and that's an important part of the story. Look, okay, this is a thing.
It is definitely a thing.
Yes, whether we want it to be or not. Yeah,
it's a thing.
Yeah. Anyways, in addition to them just being adorable, and I just like the fact that they exist, I'm excited that there are more options for familiars. When I was setting up my warlock, it was a little tricky trying to figure out, especially because I was doing a celestial warlock, so finding the right familiar to fit with my character. There's a little bit limits to familiars, even in the Xanathar's guide. There's some more stuff in there as well for the different types of warlocks, but it's still, you know, how do I find something that's exactly right for the story? So with this many familiars, you're sure to find something that's really great for you. It also focuses on creatures that can be taken as pets and companions by any class. They can be gained through new feats to become a core part of that character's identity, both thematically and mechanically. So this is exciting. You don't have to be a warlock to have a pet with you. No matter what class you take, you can just have a pet that follows you around, which seems like the best thing ever. And it seems like they also have potential new combat roles as well. I think familiars are really great for storytelling. Coming in, my Pecorino, my little ball of light that would follow me around, would do cool things like go exploring dungeons, except he didn't really know what things were. So he's like, oh yeah, it looks really weird up here. So it was the limited information. And there's fun stuff characters and DMs can do with that. So I'm excited for this.
Nice.
Great. Well, with 6 days left, we have an expansion to a game that Privateer Press actually joined us on stream just before our quarantine. So flashback to the before times, you can check out the YouTube link for Privateer Press to talk about Warcaster. So this Kickstarter is a way to get the core set if you want to, but it's also an expansion that adds like a new, you know, ancient alien race reawakening and, you know, super advanced technology kind of situation, as well as some expansion stuff that adds like more vehicles and stuff like that to it. So the core concept is like this is a future that could be down the road for the War Machine universe, where you have these warcasters who are sitting in spaceships who kind of summon units onto the board, allowing you to do a little bit of respawning as your army is kind of, you know, getting casualties and stuff like that. So again, this adds a new faction if you kind of want that hyper advanced like precursor technology kind of thing. Adds a couple vehicles and adds, you know, options to buy full armies for the existing factions and stuff like that.
So,
and 6 days left.
So moving on with 7 days left, I have the Darkest Dungeon board game. This is initially based off of a video game that came out in 2016 from Red Hook Studios. And after selling over 4 million copies of the game and 8 million copies, including the DLC, they're moving on now to a massive game. This tabletop game has 1 rule book, 72 miniatures, 32 dice, 12 double-sided room tiles, 16 hero boards, 4 skill boards, 1 Hamlet board with 3 main dashboards, 10 plus dungeon cards, 400 cards, including tarot cards, poker cards, mini European cards, and 200 plus various tokens. This thing is a beast. I saw this and I thought, this is the most metal thing I've seen in a very long time. Probably at least a week since the last time I saw something in Kickstarter that was also pretty metal. But this, listen, there's a lot of really metal Kickstarters out there. So this one comes with just the gnarliest figures that I've seen in a very long time. It looks brutal and bloody. I've never played the video game before, but honestly, I'm much more interested in checking out this this game than I am in checking out the video game, because this looks huge.
Oh yeah, no, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying the video game will just make you super depressed. Trust me, I played
awesome. Can't wait.
Looking
forward to it. I can't wait to be depressed for this one as well. It's a dungeon crawler for 1 to 4 players, and yeah, I think you're just kind of going through and accepting just demonic horrors and probably eldritch nightmares, and you probably get real depressed and everything like that. But it's cool. There's a lot of figures. I like it. With 7 days left, that's the Darkest Dungeon. Moving on with 9 days left, something completely different. This is a book for how to create your first board game. This is the 5th edition. I really like the idea of this because if for a lot of people, including a lot of my friends, they've been talking about that this is a really great opportunity now to work on your own board game. I think that 2020 has given us kind of a pause, a reprieve, a break from the normal grind of our lives. And I think that maybe working on what kind of games we would like to play, not just games that we would like to buy or support, but also the games that we would like to share with each other. I think this is a really cool idea. So this book is coming out that will guide you through each of the steps of how to make your own board game. And I think that this is just as interesting as playing a game, is maybe getting groups of people together and writing your own game, especially if you feel like you haven't seen a game that features the kinds of things or the kinds of characters that represent you and your community. This is really how we get more people, more voices, more perspectives into board gaming. So consider buying this book. I really like it when there's more kind of like narrative things or books that are on besides just doing games. I really like these kinds of things. So 9 days left. How to create your first board game, 5th edition. Check it out.
Maybe folks can pick it up, and then next year we'll be talking about their game on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Do it.
So then the final Kickstarter we have with 10 days left is The Librarians. So if you are a big fan of the show, if it is near and dear to your heart, then you are in luck, because there is a card game where there's a different deck for each character, and you go on adventures and collect relics and protect the world. And it should become readily apparent that I have not seen the show myself, but I know a lot of people really love it, so we felt like we had to at least call it out. So if you are a fan of The Librarians, or if you know anybody who is a fan of The Librarians, let them know, because they have 10 days left to back the Kickstarter and get a number of special Kickstarter exclusives that they might be really interested in. So spread the word on that one.
Cool.
That's awesome. And it's a show where you just get late fees, is what I'm seeing.
It's my understanding.
I suspect it's a little bit more complicated than that.
People just come up to you, they tell you, shush, that's the whole game.
Yeah, shh.
Just
no
shh.
talking.
I mean,
being
it's
too loud.
basically you get the books, and then you're gonna have late fees, so you never go back to the library ever again, because you have to pay your late fees. You just have that set of books, and you never go to the library.
Yeah, it's a fun
I think
game.
all
for
we're
the whole
doing is
family.
showing that. I think we're just showing that none of us have seen the show.
And none of us have been in a library for a very long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
Well, you guys, that is our final Kickstarter, and we are rounding out the final minutes of this very special, very spooky Halloween edition of TableTakes. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I don't know why I'm grateful that you guys showed up for this episode. I am grateful that you guys all showed up for this.
We're just also desperate for human contact.
I don't know why I was like, thanks for showing up, you guys. It's the bare minimum that you could have done. I really want to thank Bonsai for showing up in full purple body paint. You win the award for best TableTakes Halloween costume of 2020.
Thank you. Oh,
there you go.
Thank you.
There you
Oh,
go. There you go.
You won the cosplay contest.
I won the cosplay contest. Yay.
And thank you all to the audience for watching this special edition. I'm going to take a very long nap after this because this was a lot to take on. Stick around for a very special stream of the Alien RPG on Roll20, sponsored by Free League Publishing, which starts at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which stars Jordan, Kelsey, Bonsai, Javion, and Derek as the GM. Cannot wait for that. And uses the new adventure model on Roll20. Let's see how it works. I have a good feeling that Jared's going to guide them gently through each part of that. Also a watch party of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which starts 8 p.m. Pacific tonight, which is hosted by Jordan and Boozers. Viewers, you'll need to connect your Amazon Prime account to Twitch to join, which I did not know was a thing, and now I do know that, and I think that's really cool. Stay tuned for the rest of our programming that we have here on the Gen Con Twitch stream. Monday, 6 p.m., we have board games with Brothers Murph. Wednesdays, 1:30 p.m., This Gets Dicey. 4 p.m. fireside chats. Friday. Come back to see us. I know that you all miss our faces and you think of us and you dream of us every single Friday, 2 p.m. for Table Takes. Remember to follow, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I feel like a YouTuber. Slap that notification button.
It's your boy Derek.
It's
Remember to
your
like
boy.
and subscribe.
Remember to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You'll never want to miss a special episode with here at Table Takes. If you miss a show, which I know you won't, you never do, but if you do, and if you want to share our shows and share our streams with all of your friends and families, we put our episodes on YouTube just one day later, especially if you want to connect with other Gen Con fans. Check out our official Discord. Thank you so much to Ursula, aka Banzai, Bibi. Yeah, that's me under the sea. That's what this is. Emma making the best, most accurate Emma costume that I've ever seen in my entire life. And Derek as the most romantic, grimdark German that you've ever seen, which is just a German, really, if you think about it. Thank you so much for showing up. And I was Isabella Von Ghoul, aka Ripley, signing off from the US Nostromo. Stay luck. Oh my God. Good luck out there. Stay spooky. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Vote early if you can. Bye. Take care.